Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Friday. How is everyone doing? Markets down pretty good, hitting some next key levels, probabilities. Well, the higher probabilities worked out. I don't know what else to say. Also, something mentioned it yesterday on the live stream yesterday afternoon that and this is not systematic. This is just for me doing this for 30 years. Something was not right in the markets we saw, and I'm starting to watch for some capitulation stuff. We might add some capitulation in the 10-year notes. Euros starting to look that way that we might getting to capitulation. It's getting interesting. So far, pretty orderly in the financial markets, but I am my spidey sense is very very heightened. So it's times to not do something stupid. Return of capital is better than return on capital sometimes. Good morning, Waka Waka. Good morning, Davey. Good morning, Options 22. Outside doubles and H&S patterns. Not sure about drawing levels below, above, fib extensions. Maybe teach this Sunday. Not sure about drawing levels below or above. We could, if you attend live, we can go into it. I'm going heavy. How do you know what days to go heavy and what days to not? You got to be careful with that. You really do, because we'll talk about that. Glad I mostly cash at this point. And I've talked about cash and cash alternatives because I'd rather see return of capital and return on sometimes. Return of capital is a return because if you avoid a losses, hey, good morning, Anissa. And by the way, Anissa, thanks for the retweets. Good morning, Lauren. Morning, George. Haven't you heard stocks only go up? Really? Huh. Missed that one. Maybe the dollar index only goes up. The dollar index only goes up. Hey, Christoph. Again, thank you for bringing up the book Ubiquity, Christoph. I don't mention that all the time, but I think it's a good read for most people. And I appreciate everybody being here. All right, let's just get right to it. 15 minutes after the open, we got the S&P Global flash numbers, PMI flash numbers. They might have a minor impact this morning because there's nothing else. That we got Powell speaking this afternoon. It's pretty red this morning. You got mega caps down pretty decently. There's not much green. I'm actually surprised that some energy is getting hit as hard as it is, but it is also, we have that tropical depression, which looks like it's transitioning to a hurricane. Gonna directly take on the Cayman Islands, and then we're gonna make a move up to the Gulf and possibly hit Florida. But if it drifts west, watch that because it could have a slight impact on crude with oil rig shutdowns. FOMC 72% for the 75 basis points, but we're a long way off from that. We're in deep negative gamma. Remember, the trough is down by this 3,600 level. But we are deep into that. We haven't looked at the puts and calls, but 3750 and then 3700s. 3750 has a fair amount of put gamma. We're out from expiration, so that's not going to kick in that much, but it's still we're pretty deep in the negative gamma, so you can get the amplified moves. So if we do get a sort of a capitulation flush out, just pay attention. You can get sharp reversals. We're getting down back to that extreme fear level where we will watch for at least a short-term bottom. Remember, if we get a minor capitulation flush out, it doesn't have to be an absolute low. That's where people get, you can get multiple capitulations in a bear market. All right, let's get right to it. Remember, by the way, the potential doubles. Remember, potential doesn't mean they're triggered or even confirmed. I'm tired of people for trying to front run stuff. So, just left some of these levels on. We bounced off that 87.5 so far in the European session and the next harmonics. don't even have a decent pausing bar yet. We sort of have to use this. But now my key area, we'll see if we can fine tune this a bit. But 36.87, 36.73, 36.59. Why so many levels down then? The 36.43 back from 36.42 back from the June lows. Because anywhere in here we have some potential bottoming. We broke down through major support. So now 37.86 level is very significant resistance. All right. This is the pausing bar I'm having to use right now. I'm going to be going into the open, watching if we do bounce today. This little ledge, I'm actually going to bump this down a bit for what I'm watching intraday. 37.73 area on a bounce. You can even go slightly first level if you're trying to play more aggressively would be 37.59. Going in the open, I'm watching to see how if we roll over into the open, because this is pre-market still. But that's why I'm watching, and we don't have solid pausing bars down here. This is a very minor pausing bar, so these levels I will have to fine tune them during the day. Also, if you're looking for retracement levels of the last swing down, you can see here that area I already mentioned, 25% harmonic. That's also key on a rally to watch for. Remember, it's also Friday. We've had a very substantial week down. There will be covering into this weekend. How much of a bounce that gets us, don't know yet. Don't know. This is a very tactile day with this kind of move down. So, I finally have the signal to sell everything. I searched the book and Google asked me, do you mean Zubiquity? Hey, Christoph, if you're still in here, could you I forgot the author's name. Could you put that in here so people can look for it? So that's where we're going. Let's just get through this quickly. You can see here we hit the 87.5. Again, that's why we identified. I mean, these levels were identified back on the 6th of September. So this should not be a shock. Not be a shock. We also had a short-term harmonic there. I have to lower these levels. So on a push lower, below today's pausing low, 11,284, 11,189. Then June's lows, middle June's lows, 11,068.50. Yes, thank you. If you are looking for that book, it is a fascinating read. There you go. Ubiquity, Mark Buchanan. Forgot the name of the author. So, that's the key levels on the downside. To the upside, I'm still using these levels on the chart. 11,530 with the declining rotation zone. And then I'm bumping this one down. 11,600. And utilizing the harmonics. So intermediate level, I will use 11,569. Blazing through again. The Dow getting after pausing, nice sideways move with that harmonic and then rolling over. Dow came within spitting distance of the June lows. Key level is 30,100 on any stronger rally. Intermediate, use your harmonic. And this is a little more challenging. I'm using the most recent push because you have a cascading waterfall. So it'd be 30,060 to 30,100. Interesting enough, Russell has not hit this. So I don't know why the Russell's holding up the best, but it still is still not below this key resistance. So I'm still expecting 1689 at least in the Russell. Not going to dwell on that. Notes, this again, look at this push lower. We had the harmonics 11, 1, 12, 12, 1, 1209 just blowing through, but then the sharp reversal. The sharp reversal, this was looking like a capitulation bottom with this kind of, again, a short V shape. This is not necessarily a long-term bottom. I'm now going to watch on, the key is when you get this thing, watch for the retest levels. Once we get a short-term top, we'll be watching this, but this looks like a blowout bottom, like somebody capitulated into this, or a fund capitulated or something. Gonna start watching for this. Up, really not touching it today. Standing aside with that, but you're bigger on a snapback move. On a snapback move. See, there's no even great areas to draw new harmonics. So I'm focusing on 113.02. And then this is where I'll use the prior harmonics, 113.09. Dollar index marching higher. Finished the reversal pattern, then blowing through here. Remember, you can use your reverse harmonics up here just when you break out above that. That'll give you your little short-term levels. But watching for key support now coming back 111.58, or at least a sideways pause. This was a pretty monster move up. By the way, the potential double top, which never ever came anywhere. You know, you put it on the charts, but this is pretty much off the it's off the table officially. Off the table officially. So just watching pullbacks to either sideways or pullback to the rotation zone. We're getting some pretty significant divergences, so I'm at least watching for a pause / pullback to the prior breakout level, especially if we start getting this capitulation bottoms. VIX, nice gap up. You know, the level I'll be watching going into the close is 29.11 for a closing basis on the VIX. A closing basis. If we start rolling over, which means we start trying to put in some kind of bottoming thing today, 28 is now key support. If we break up above 29, I am targeting the high area from the 21st, which is coming in 30.18, and I will just be watching for a lot more downward pressure. Crude, substantial break lower, closing in 79.14, but remember the first target from that weekly double is 77.61. We could see one more push. We got that hurricane or potential hurricane forming. I'm really watching. There's no buy right now, but I will be watching for bottoms either around 79 or 77. Natural gas, we went over yesterday, needed a, it's just a follow through still to the downside, so just a minor bounce. But I talked about this, so if you want to know my thoughts on that, tune in yesterday's afternoon live stream. Euro, then I will get to your spiders. The potential double, never confirmed. Pushing back down, see, this is where the harmonics, 97, 37.8. Again, we're not trying to call an absolute low. It's trying to give us areas where we could see key reactions. Getting a reaction, and that was a short-term target for me. Watching for some stabilization now in the euro. If we do rotate back down, no major target then until 96.5. But I am watching for some euro stabilization down here. Today's just a day. Please don't do something stupid with your money, especially going into a weekend. And we got Powell speaking this afternoon. Bitcoin actually holding up substantially better. So if we do start getting a snapback rally, I'm watching for a break above 19.5 and then going 20,150 to 20,400. Tesla, still can't get super bear. Now get a minor bearish. We'll watch if we do bounce with a gap play into the open. If we break below yesterday's lows, the key level is 283.50 roughly on a closing basis. We start getting below that, I'm targeting the lows back from the September 7th. I know people want the spiders and the Qs, which are more important. So I know we bounced off pre-market the 569.35 area. I will watch for a retest of that. Yesterday, the close was on the harmonic. If we get into anything bullish, I need to use my gap harmonics based to the open. So you're going to have to do those yourself. We don't know where it's going to open yet. So remember, you take the harmonics from yesterday's close, drag them down to the open. I'm just going to use this 369 level as an example. And if we go lower, you're going to have to drag those down. The key area I'll watch for a rollover will be between the 50 and the 62.5. So you're going to have to update this on the open. But right now, hypothetically, it'd be 371.80 to 372.41. At least a 15-minute close above 372.41. Modified on with the opening price. And if we push lower off the open, you got to keep ratcheting it down. But you'd be watching for at least a 15-minute close above the 62.5. Your key levels are 369.35 on a retest, which we've already hit that area pre-market. Other than that, if we do try to stabilize and put in the bottom, it would be the gap fill harmonics, and major resistance is 374 to 374.20 area. All right. Your support, again, 369.35. Below that, if we roll over below that, you can see we have these major lows, this gap open, this spike low. But if we get below that, my next significant target isn't until the gap fill back from the 17th of June, which doesn't have to happen today unless we got something major wipeout move. But I'd be watching for that next week, especially if we close below the 87.5. This is where it's tricky. It's almost where I can't do a live stream into the open today. I got too much going on. I have to wrap this up quickly. For the Qs, we already hit the 87.5 pre-market. Same story here. Same story. You're going to have to use your gap fill harmonics. This is where it's so handy to have a strategy coming in. I'm just giving you an example to that 87.5 level again. Based off of that, the 50 would be about 287.27 and then 278.72. I'd watch this 278.77 anyways. You have a prior harmonic level, which pretty much held as the low yesterday. You start getting above there, focus on the gap fill. Your key support, 276.47. We break below that. I would then use 275.30, and then you have a gap still left behind from the 17th of June, which is 273.67, not necessarily for today. But this is how you're going to have to play the levels going into the open. All right, Sailor's just an idiot, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not going to mince words. Good morning, Patrick. The Powell speech is 1 p.m. Central, so 2 Eastern. What's that? 11 Pacific. Small double on the... I don't use the 30-minute chart. I'll take a look at the 15-minute. The only time I ever use... Yes, that is a small double. Going into the open. And it's back to that. Look at that harmonic. So you still have 337.42. Why I put on the aggressive targets? Because we're getting some divergences down here going in the open. But it's already the first and second target hit. First and second close on that. So I'd be watching that 37.42. Now you can use this level on the pullback in the open, 37.27. But you start breaking below that, I'd watch for a triple bottom and then a potential break low. If you want to use short-term harmonics, I'm just showing you as assuming this would be the high of the move. but then you'd want to use whatever the high of the morning move. If we do roll over, you're going to want to use your short-term harmonics for just intermediate levels to fine-tune some potential quick moves down. So if this were to move up, those levels would extend. That's what I'm going to do going into the open. You guys and gals and everybody, you're learning how to do this. I'm so glad you're tuning in. This is what I'm trying to teach. You have a roadmap. You have gap harmonics to fine-tune your levels. You have the projection harmonics. You have your doubles. You have your head and shoulders, your inverse head and shoulders. You have your divergence moves. You have your clear path. You should be able to have enough tools to at least not get yourself in major trouble. You're welcome, Christoph. You're welcome, Jacob. Again, you're welcome, Josh. Hey, Gary, thank you for being here. Next week will be very interesting. Play it safe. This is also a good time from my perspective for short-term traders to not carry a bunch into the weekend. You're welcome, Lauren. I will talk to everyone later. I will be back after the close today, and we will do a recap and then back on Sunday. Long-term stuff right now. You're welcome, Ted. We've hit key short-term levels. With that, I got to run. I'll talk to everyone later. Bye.